I've been pulled through time.
It's freaking me out.
I thought you said it didn't look that bad.
I was lying. It's terrible.
On October 5th.
You've got about an hour. You've got about 5 minutes.
Loki returns.
What's the plan?
Don't overthink it.
In an all-new season.
You better run!
I'm fine. It's pretty spectacular. Today was the first day that I wore this costume. To wear this thing, it just feels enormously powerful.
Loki has been in our movies for well over a decade now, and since day one, really won everybody over and became one of our most beloved characters.
I am Loki of Asgard, and I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Your savior is here!
I remember as clear as day the first auditions for Thor.
What am I?
What I loved about playing Loki is he plays all the keys on the piano. He could be fun, comedic, but also volatile and angry.
Tom Hiddleston is almost wholly responsible for Loki becoming an instant fan favorite.
Say my name!
And that's why we wanted to do a Loki show.
Welcome to the Time Variance Authority.
In that first run at it, we've created something bright and colorful and spectacular.
It's such a thrill to see that audiences connected with this new world and this new story. Season 2 is building and expanding upon that world.
I'm excited to be back in the TVA, back with this amazing team. We get to go further and take bigger risks to create this endlessly fascinating box of tricks. And I feel excited and inspired about where we go next.
Come on, you're the god of mischief.
Always have been. Always will be.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. They dropped a brand new Loki Season 2 trailer video with a whole bunch of new footage, so we'll break it all down. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs here. I'll be doing episode videos just like I did for Season 1. Be sure to subscribe to get everything. We'll also start doing that giveaway for the Loki Blu-rays. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and just post all your predictions based on the footage in the video. The other great news that you probably just saw in your feeds is it looks like the strike stuff has mostly been figured out, mostly on the writer's side right now. They have to do the actors next, but for the most part, they had the same issues. So now that the studios work things out with the writers, they have a couple more weeks to figure things out with the actors, then it sounds like everything's pretty much back to normal by the middle of October, which I think is what most people expected who understood what was going on with all the strike stuff. So if you wondered why all the studios have been super quiet about their big upcoming movies and TV shows, like all the real big stuff that's coming, it's mostly because of the strike. Now that that's over, you'll probably start hearing news about all the big stuff that's coming. But just starting with the brand new footage, they have a couple more jokes about Loki time slipping and Mobius completely freaking out like, "You look terrible, I was lying." There's a scene of him time slipping in front of that 1980s McDonald's where Sylvie worked, which is probably how he finds out that she's there hiding out in the first place. There are a couple of scenes of him trying to escape the TVA at the beginning of the season. This is like episode 1 footage of him going on the run because they don't believe him when he says that he knows them. Remember, the whole idea in episode 1 is that he traveled back to a point earlier in the TVA's timeline, closer to its creation, so they haven't met him yet, so they think that he's a normal anomaly, like a normal variant that they have to arrest and process. That's why he's back in the prisoner uniform trying to explain things to Mobius, like, no, we've met each other, we've all done this before. The reason why there's a Kang statue in the TVA in place of the Timekeepers is because in this earlier point of the TVA's existence, He Who Remains wasn't hiding what he was doing, like everybody knew that he was running the TVA. Then at some point later in the timeline, he wiped all their minds and just made them think that it was the Timekeepers instead. There are a couple scenes of Loki interrogating the Zaniac variant that they tried to arrest, like you see him in the chair here. Look at Mobius in the background, all proud of how Loki has grown up, like, now you're interrogating people too. Not sure what's going on with this weird portal scene, like the tiny portal with him trying to like crouch down in it. For whatever reason, they go back to that 1980s McDonald's with him in tow when they're finding Sylvie. Not sure why he's there with them, but they probably just have a couple of McDonald's jokes while they're there. There are a couple more scenes of Victor Timely's version of Kang helping them save the timeline, like save the multiverse, which is a big twist on season 1. Like the whole idea is the Kang variants are meant to be villains. He's meant to be fighting them or stopping them from trying to destroy the multiverse. But it seems like one of the big twists of Loki Season 2 is that at least this Kang variant, Victor Timely Kang, will be helping them instead. Now, I think the idea is that not all Kang variants are meant to be bad, like some of them are meant to be helpful. But supposedly the real villain of Loki Season 2 will be a twist on the Sylvie character. Like during Season 1, they did Richard E. Grant's classic Loki character. There's going to be a twist on the Sylvie character, like older Sylvie, but supposedly it's meant to be a future variant of this version of Sylvie who's grown remorseful for all the things that she and Loki have done to mess with the timelines, mess with the multiverse. So I think the TVA agents here that are all trying to fight Sylvie and Loki here that they're trying to stop are actually working for the older Sylvie. She's supposed to be played by Kate Dickie. Most of you will remember her as Lysa Arryn from the Game of Thrones series. She was great at playing that batshit crazy character on Game of Thrones, so it'll be interesting to see what she's like during the Loki series. Let me know in the comments, though, what you think about the big twist in that the Council of Kangs won't be the actual main villain in Loki Season 2. But they will be using the Season 2 set up what's happening during Deadpool 3 because of all the crossover with the TVA characters. Supposedly Loki also filmed some cameo scenes for Deadpool 3. During that, Deadpool does something and a bunch more incursions start happening, like the multiverse finally starts collapsing in on itself. Then the TVA try to save as many people as they can, putting them on Battleworld from different universes, and that's how you wind up with your MCU version of Battleworld from the Secret Wars comics. That Battleworld might wind up being a version of the Void Planet where they just dump everything. It just makes more sense to use the Void Planet because they already are pruning stuff, sending it there. Like Sylvie purposefully sent herself there so that she could find Loki. So if all your universes were collapsing, that would be a really easy way to save people. Just like automatically prune as many people as you possibly could to try and save their lives. There are a couple of the really cool moments during this trailer too, where he talks about his original audition for the first Thor movie. Originally, he actually auditioned for the Thor character. This is what his audition was.
And remember, if you chose this, it's for Outland!
Doesn't it seem a little bit nuts? Like we almost had a Tom Hiddleston version of Thor. Could you imagine all the Marvel movies with the Tom Hiddleston Thor? He's an amazing actor, like he could have totally knocked that out of the park, but Kenneth Branagh supposedly convinced him behind the scenes that he would be better for the Loki character and he should slim down, like get less bulky, and Chris Hemsworth should go for Thor and bulk up. So originally, we also almost had a Chris Hemsworth version of Loki. Maybe they'll have some twist about that in like a future season of Loki if they do Loki Season 3. That would be crazy to see a Chris Hemsworth version of Loki. I think that all of us are happy with the way things worked out though, like we're much happier with Tom Hiddleston Loki. But since then, they've had a lot of Easter eggs referencing him almost being Thor in the movies. A lot of deleted scenes, too. Like, there was originally a very long deleted scene of Thor the Dark World where he makes an illusion of himself wielding Thor's hammer, being cheered on by other Asgardians, till his mother Frigga comes in and calls him on his bullshit. They also had all those scenes of him practicing with Thor's hammer behind the scenes. It sounds like it just at various times early on, Marvel Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, they thought about having him wield the hammer during the actual movies and big fight scenes, but just decided to save big moments like that for like Chris Evans' version of Captain America in Avengers Endgame. That was also probably the right move too. Like if they would have had a bunch more people wielding the hammer in Marvel Phase 1 and Phase 2, it just wouldn't have hit as hard during Avengers Endgame. There are a couple brand new scenes of Sylvie and Mobius behind the scenes looking happily at something next to some regular looking house on Earth. This could be back in the 1980s where they find Sylvie working at that McDonald's. I'm not sure which time periods they travel to. We've only seen a couple of them during the trailers. Notice during the scene of them laughing with Ke Huy Quan, that's between scenes obviously, but you can actually see in the background, they're still rolling cameras, like things in the background are still active. There's like a package that falls behind them into the basket, like some kind of weird delivery system they have. The whole thing with his character is that he's called Ouroboros, which translates to Time Eater, but they call him Obi for short, and he's meant to have helped He Who Remains Kang create the TVA when it first started and all the technology that they use. Like he's the main tech guy. He created pretty much everything that they use. But it is based on iterations of Kang's own technology, which itself is an evolution of quantum-based energy technology. That's why all the Kang variants portals, the TVA portals, are the same color as Ant-Man's quantum portal during Avengers Endgame, because they're both using quantum energy to power all their tech. The only major difference is that all of Kang's tech, like all the Kang variants, is just many thousands of years more advanced. The whole idea with all Kang variants is that each one comes from the 30th century. They updated his origin story a little bit in the more recent comics, and the difference in the Marvel comic book version of Kang is that he has a bunch of different personas that he uses across different time periods, but in the MCU, they're saying that all the different personas are just different variants from other universes. But most Kang variants begin life in the 30th century, and in that time period, there's no more war, no more hunger, no more strife, and it's as boring as it could possibly be. So Kang, as a child, grows really bored and finds this abandoned Doctor Doom museum in an active Doombot. Then he steals Doctor Doom's time travel platform plans and uses them to travel back into the past and set himself up as the Rama Tut version of the character ruling over ancient Egypt. There are a couple Easter eggs for this during the Moon Knight series, and we saw a Rama Tut version of Kang in the Council of Kangs in that Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania post-credit scene. The Fantastic Four learn what he's doing, travel back to ancient Egypt to stop him. Eventually he gives up, sets up the mutant Apocalypse as his successor, and escapes to the distant future where he reinvents himself as Kang the Conqueror in that persona, travels back to the past again to fight the Avengers, and just does it over and over again under different personas. Like I said though, the MCU is just saying that all those different personas are actually different Kangs from other universes. So like the Rama Tut version of Kang is from a different universe than Kang the Conqueror, from the Amora version of Kang, Victor Timely, Doctor Doom Kang, the Lizard Kang, all from other universes. The funny thing about Lizard Kang too, early theory, is that he's from a universe based on Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man movie where the lizard was successful in evolving everybody on Earth into lizards. They had a couple jokes about this during Spider-Man No Way Home.
Until he turned himself into a lizard. Then he tried to turn the whole city into lizards. It was crazy.
It wasn't crazy, Max. It was the next step in human evolution.
You know I can give you a real makeover.
Let me guess. Into a lizard?
Exactly.
You two just shut up.
Let me know in the comments if we're going to see a couple different Kang variants during Loki Season 2. Which other variants do you want to see? Big reminder though is that Loki Season 2 Episode 1 starts next week. Remember, they moved episodes to Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific time. So my episode videos will work a little bit like the Ahsoka episode videos. They'll post like the next morning, which will be Friday mornings for Loki. Click here for my new Ahsoka Episode 7 video, and click here for all my Loki videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.